I got a new Garmin. That's the old Garmin. Let me show you the new Garmin. Hello again, YouTube, and welcome to, well, I'm doing this one two camera from the desk. It's been a fantastic week, and that's one of the reasons that the vlog is later out this week. I'm also thinking of shifting my kind of vlog launch date from Sundays to Mondays, because that gives me just a little bit more time to put the video together and get it out the door and make it look decent. So let me tell you about the progress. The big milestone I think I hit last week is, since I did that first vlog where I said, you know, I've got to do something about this, I'm actually down 11 kilos, and that feels really good. So I am already beginning to feel that cycling jerseys are just a little bit more comfortable. And I'm sure that my bikes are thanking me for it as well. The other big milestone I hit last week was I put in a really solid run. I'm only doing one run a week at the moment, and the reason for that was when I started running again, my legs were absolutely killing me. So I really didn't want to push it, and I thought, get one quality run in a week rather than trying to beat yourself up and just do some junk miles or whatever you want to call them. So I went out last Friday and did exactly the same route I'd done the week before, and the pace increased markedly. So I actually took, I think it was 30 seconds per mile off of my pace, so 30 seconds faster per mile, which felt really good. When I looked at the actually lapse time, the run beginning to end was 3 minutes quicker, which again felt fantastic. One of the big increases for me last week was Vo2 Max. Last week I managed to increase my Vo2 Max, which has been off the bottom of the scale for ages, and I increased it 5 points, and that feels fantastic, because having languished around in the red zone of the Vo2 Max for ages, I'm now nudging into the amber zone, which means I'm not a total loss. Another big thing that happened last week was my fitness age has always been, well, recently it's been older than my real age, and it's now 6 years younger than my real age. There is, unfortunately, a lack of B-roll from last week. That was kind of a conscious thing, because I really wanted to put a week in where I focused on the training rather than whipping a camera out and all that stuff, which I will continue to do. But I just really wanted to turn a corner somewhere and consolidate it. Another big thing that happened was on Saturday morning we had our swim at Hadley Park planned. And Mrs. T has been suffering really, really badly with hay fever recently. We got up on Saturday morning and she said, I'm not going to go swimming, you know, I'm really not in the shape for that. And it was a bit of a test for me, because that's where the Ian from 2 months ago would have gone, yeah, you're right, should we just go back to bed? But I actually said, do you mind if I go on my own? Got my kit together, got up to Hadley and had a fantastic swim. In my head, I'd said the goal for this week, given that last week I swam one messy lap, I wanted to swim 2 decent laps this week. So I did indeed get 2 decent laps in, facing the water, bilateral breathing, just relaxing into it like I used to, and my pace in the water was roughly twice as fast as it was last week, so just positives all round. A really, really good training week. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is I got a new Garmin. That's the old Garmin. Let me show you the new Garmin. So, having had a really good swim at Hadley last week, Mrs. T decided that her Apple Watch really wasn't useful for things like open water swimming because of the touch screen, which becomes a non-touch screen as soon as you put it in water. So I said to her, why don't you buy a new Garmin? And we started looking around, and she started looking at the Garmin 745. And there was a really good deal going, I think, on Sigma Sport. And she said, well, I'm putting one in the basket for me. Do you want one? Now, I know I made a video not that long ago where I said, I'm not going to buy another Garmin, blah, blah, blah. I know I made another video before that, I think, where I said, don't buy a new Garmin, buy an old Garmin. But I was sitting in the garden, it was sunny, I'd had a beer and I went, yeah, right, I'll have one. So she treated me to this lovely new 745 and I took the opportunity to add to it the Garmin HRM Pro. Now I know that when I bought the Phoenix 5 I said I couldn't really justify that. One of the big criticisms I had of that thing is heart rate on the wrist, which seemed to be a work of fiction. And I had the same reservations about the 745. But having done a bit of research, it looks like it's got their new heart rate sensor on there. So this is the Elevate heart rate sensor, which is more reliable, but it also does pulse ox. So there was an extra thing I was adding. I was also aware that with the Run Pro belt, the HRM Pro belt, the run metrics give you running power. I'm not going to do a big review of this because there are enough solid reviews on there. You've only got to go looking for DC Rainmaker, Matt Legrand, people like that. They've got far better reviews than I'll do. And there's absolutely no point doing an unboxing because Garmin unboxings are the most boring unboxings you will ever see. But anyway, I'm kind of blown away with how good the 745 is. Firstly, there's heart rate on the wrist, and that is really, really solid. I love the pulse ox thing. I love the way that it can monitor your blood oxygen throughout the day. I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what it actually tells me, and I want to do some more research on that. But I've checked it against a little finger pulse ox thing that I've got, and it seems completely reliable. So a big win for the new sensor on the back of that watch. But for me, I think the added bonus of this watch is it seems to have supercharged Garmin Connect for me. So firstly, the things that I notice are my training load is immediately visible on the watch face for me. So I get this little green bar at the bottom with a white line telling me whether I'm on track or off track or above track or what have you. And that's a really nice thing to have. The other thing that it does really well is it breaks down your training load into sort of low-level, aerobic and anaerobic zones, and it will suggest to you whether you should be doing a little bit more high aerobic, anaerobic, or even rest. I really like as well the body battery that they've added. I thought this was going to be an absolute gimmick. A bit like I thought the app for the light that I bought recently was going to be an absolute gimmick, and I was completely wrong on that. Well, I was completely wrong on this. The body battery is a really useful way of gauging how hard you should go today. And I can tell you that when it tells me you should be taking it easy, I know I should be taking it easy. I feel like I should be taking it easy. And I'll give you an example. On Sunday morning it said, "You're really charged up, go for it." Went for it, absolutely fantastic tempo ride on the road bike, increased Vo2 Max, good things all round. Absolutely blown away with how useful something that I thought a gimmick was actually is. One note of caution, if like me you want to use this watch to get your running power, you do have to download a data field from Connect IQ. And I didn't realise that, and I wish I'd done that before that run last Friday where I increased my pace and everything, because that would have been a real nice benchmark to work from. But hey, you know, you live, you learn. So if you're buying this watch to get the running power, just remember to download that. One observation I'd make about that running power is there are various ways of getting running power. I mean, in the past I looked at the Stride foot pod and they all seem quite costly. You can get running power with the HRM Run, the HRM Tri. They'll all give you the metrics you need for running power. Do bear in mind you're only going to get running power on something like the 745 and check that it's there. And do bear in mind you've got to download that data field. But when you've done that, that's a much cheaper way to get your running power than buying a Stride foot pod. One thing I don't like about the 745 is the battery life. I'll be honest, I've got everything turned on. I've got pulse ox all day, heart rate all day, and that's going to chew through the battery. But I am charging it every other day at the moment, which is much more frequently than I've charged any of my Garmins so far. And it's a thinner unit, it's a lighter unit. Obviously the battery's not going to be as capacious as something like the Phoenix 5 or indeed the 945 if you were going for one of these later watches. But it's a small annoyance, and there's kind of a positive in that I find that I less frequently look at it and think, I'm going out on the bike, oh, I've got no battery, because I'm charging it more often, because I need to charge it more often. So there's that. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, YouTube. A little bit of a ramble there, and hopefully there'll be some more supporting B-roll for next week. But thank you for your time. If you're new here, do the old like and subscribe thing if you'd like to follow this progress and follow what I'm doing here. Have a great week, YouTube. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you next week.